Little interesting story that's come out of the debacle that was the transfer deadline day that almost never was, but turned out okay in the end. I don't know if the story's true. I think it might be. I think I believe it, and it's from a reasonably good source. So I thought I'd share it with you anyway. I just think it's quite interesting. It was meant to pan out a little bit differently on the day. So at the start of the day, all the terms had been agreed the night before. It was all done. It was meant to be all the pomp and ceremony on the transfer deadline day, which was the Friday. What was supposed to happen was at 9 o'clock, we were supposed to see the photos of Benrahma with the pen in his hand and signing the contracts and all that sort of thing. The tests came out, and whilst he was physically fine, no leg muscle tears, knees are in perfectly good condition, no shoulder, as I speculate. Well, he's got a shoulder. I don't mean he's got no shoulder. You would definitely fail a medical if you had no shoulder. So he's got two shoulders, which is good. But there was an indiscrepancy in the blood tests, certainly. And as anybody that knows about such things will know, that's something that certainly needs to be investigated further. They didn't have time to do it. So the loan deal was arranged quite hurriedly later on. There was a point when they thought they weren't going to get the deal over the line. The player really wanted to sign. He was desperate. He'd already said his goodbyes at Brentford, and there's quite a nice story about how he basically gave 100 members of the lowest paid Brentford staff quite a large chunk of his loyalty bonus. Seems like we've got a really, really nice guy on our hands here. It's a really lovely story, actually. But before we get to that, he'd said his goodbyes to Brentford, fully expected to sign, and he was as devastated as anybody when he found out there may be a medical reason why he couldn't. So we tried to then renegotiate for all the reasons that you probably already know by now. But as a backup plan, we tried to reignite our interest in Joshua King. Joshua King is dispatched up the motorway, apparently, which I found most amusing. I don't know how they can get these deals done so late. I don't know how Tottenham got the Joe Rodon deal done so late, but they did anyway. So it was very much our intention to have Josh King there as a backup. Now, Josh King apparently did want to join West Ham, but he was reluctant to make all the effort without having some sort of assurance that he would be able to sign. Basically, what he didn't want to happen was for West Ham to turn around and say, oh, actually, we're going to do the Benrahma deal, turn around on the motorway, go back down the M3, and you can go back to Bournemouth. Now, the important thing to know here is that Josh King is out of contract. He's got one more year left at Bournemouth. In January, he can sign for an overseas club for free. He has to see out the whole year, but he can sign a pre-contract with an overseas club. But in a year's time, he can sign for anyone, and I guess for the inflated wages that he wants to. So anyway, he didn't want to commit himself if he didn't think that we were fully interested in buying him. When it became clear that there was a chance that we could resurrect the Benrahma deal, but we could negotiate as a loan, it would have meant that we didn't have to. We could have deferred the money. We could have used some of next year's money towards Benrahma and paid it next year. This year's money, the Diangana money, if you want, we could have then used a lot of that, if not all of it. We could have used a lot of that on Josh King. Now, we had a deal set up with Bournemouth, which was 13 million. I don't know how it was structured, but even if it was 13 million over the term of his contract, would have been a good deal for Bournemouth, or so everybody thought at the time, because it's a player that could walk away on a free. At that point, we might loan Benrahma. The club apparently started to think, hold on, we might be able to get both of these players. So David Moyes was apparently seeing Benrahma positionally as something somewhat different to Josh King. I think he saw Josh King as a striker, and Benrahma as somebody who can play in a couple of positions, none of which are striker, basically. Where this was supposed to leave Sebastian Haller, I don't know. Now, I know this has got a bit of a once upon a time Jack Norrie Cinderella type theme to it. But I'll tell you the story. So what then happened was we turned around to Josh King and his representatives and Bournemouth and said, no, we're going to try and look to do both deals here. We're going to try and get Benrahma on loan for the medical reasons that we know, and we're going to sign Josh King permanently. Apparently, at that point, Bournemouth upped their money. They said, no, we don't want that. Whatever that 12, 30 million, we don't want that anymore. We want 15, 16 million. Right at the very last minute, apparently that's what happened. And now we said to Bournemouth, no, we're not going to do that. Don't worry about it. Oh, sorry, me thing's showing, isn't it? There we go. Don't want that on display, do you? Apparently we said to Bournemouth, no, we're not going to do that. Basically, take it or leave it. And Bournemouth left it. Very much with a view in West Ham's mind, we will come back and get this fella in January. Now, the only reason I bring it up is because I then click on... I heard this story. It's independent of Sean or Hugh. I heard this story yesterday. And then Claret and Hugh are running a story today, which basically says that the transfer window is open again in 10 weeks. And it runs the story of Josh King. It said in 12 league games, the window's open again. Reports today suggest David Moyes could return for Josh King in January after a £30 million bid was rejected by Bournemouth. I heard it was somewhat differently. It said no bids materialised from Aston Villa or Everton for the 28-year-old. And as I understand it, it is very much our intention to go back in with a far lower bid in January and try and get him. Failing that, we may well try and sign him for a free. In a year's time, basically. I thought it was quite interesting how it's a funny one for Bournemouth, really, because they're losing they're going to be losing an asset, a valuable asset, I think, for what is, maybe they should have taken the 13 million, maybe they should have taken the 12, I don't know. I guess if he gets some promotion, I guess if he fires in the goals that gets them up to the top level, then absolutely fine. If he doesn't, then they're going to be losing out a significant amount of money. Apparently we're also due to sign a centre-back in January, so I don't know. There were a lot of comments on my video that I did about the Benrahma deal being a good deal, with people suggesting, is this it? Are we not going to spend any more money yet? I don't know. I don't have a direct line to the owners. I really don't, and I think, quite frankly, the way they scared everybody after death, and the way that they left it all till the last minute was not good at all. I don't know. I suspect that is the Diangana money, and it's still sat there, but maybe it's been put aside until the next transfer window. But I mean, the story is we may well get Josh King and Benrahma. I guess the real story is we almost had both of them yesterday. All I would say is I don't think we'll have a clear run at it. If Aston Villa and Everton were rumoured to be interested now, they're certainly going to be interested at half the price in January. They're certainly going to be very interested if he's for free. So I almost think this was our only opportunity to get Josh King. And I know there's a few people in the chat, certainly, who weren't too thrilled about getting him. There we go. Very, very interesting. Well, I thought so anyway. We've got Tottenham coming up, obviously, tomorrow. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play you now. Farmer Kris has sent in his thoughts ahead of the Tottenham game. So thank you very much for sending that in, Chris. I'm going to let that play out, and we will see you. Well, it's match day. It's match day tomorrow. We're going to be seeing an awful lot of each other. I've got a funny feeling. If you haven't checked it out, go and check out mine and Gio's review, where we talk about the Tottenham game and give our predictions for that one. A few of you might be a little surprised at that, quite possibly. I'll catch up with you tomorrow, be it over the breakfast show, the lineup build-up show, the one that comes up, it'll be a review. I couldn't think of the show that comes after the match. That is the review, of course. Player ratings, everything else. On this channel, we've got Becky. She's going to be doing her review. I don't know why. It seems like the word review has gone from my mind constantly. Review. Becky will be doing a review on this channel. We'll also, on the other channel with Tom and Charlie, will be doing their watch along.
Hello everyone. So, playing Spurs. Anyway. Interesting game for me, because Spurs is actually my other half's team. So the reason why I've come out to do the video in the car is purely because she'll be giving me hell in the background otherwise. So what can I say about Spurs? Well, I've got Bell back, and I was always a massive fan of Bell when he was over here originally. Watching the Wales games recently, he isn't anything special anymore. So that might be just the fact that he hasn't actually played that much club games. So he'll be interesting to see. I know that Gonzo and Gio alluded to him hooking up really well with Harry Kane, and that worries me because I think Kane is probably the best striker in the Premier League. He's absolutely brilliant. I have got so much respect for him. I do enjoy watching him play. They've also got that, excuse my pronunciation, is it Anderveld, the defender? I've always thought he was really solid. I always really liked him. Now, the one thing I really hate about Spurs, apart from the fact that they're Spurs, is their manager. I can't stand Mourinho. I think he's arrogant. I think he is... I really just think that he is one of those narcissistic people. I mean, he's like the Donald Trump of football managers, you know. He really does love himself, and he puts himself on a high pedestal. I think he's lost it years ago. I don't think he's as great as he thinks he is. But having said that, though, he is turning it around a little bit, which is he seems to be getting Spurs playing a little bit better football. So yes, I mean they're going to be all right this year. Certainly going to surprise a few people, I think. The only other player that they've got that I hate us playing against is Son. He seems to always have a really good game against us. And you know, he's a great player anyway. But I dread seeing his name on the team sheet. I would probably do a bit of dad dancing tomorrow if he, for some reason, isn't playing against us. So yeah, that's what I think of them. As for us, I want to see us play the same team. I know we signed Benrahma yesterday, but he's not eligible to play. I'm sure he'll be in the stands. Well, hopefully. Never know with COVID actually, but hopefully he's in the stands watching. He does seem really keen, which is great. Nice to see someone wanting to play, for us. I think he's going to have, if he gets a chance to play, he's going to, he's going to be a good player for us, like Bowen, coming up a league and wanting to really prove that he should be here. I mean, I think Benrahma is actually... I think he's going to prove that he's going to be too good for us, if you get my meaning. And the only thing I can say about the transfer window really is that I'm quite glad we didn't get a left back. I know that Creswell is being used as a centre back at the moment, and he's doing a really good job. But if we have to revert back to a flat back four, he's no good as a normal left back, and certainly Masuaku's not either. So, I think we're going to really struggle there. But fingers crossed we stick to the 5 at the back, or 3 at the back with wing backs, however you want to put it. And let's hope that we can turn Spurs over tomorrow. I think we can. I got a very, very small chance that we could turn them over. I think that I'm certainly more optimistic playing them now than I was last year. So I don't know. I just think, personally, I think we're going to do a surprise. I'm going to say it's going to be 3-2 to us. That is what I'm going to say. I think it's going to be a really tight game. As always, both teams like scoring. I think it's going to be 3-2 to us.